this Taoism philosophy really helped me a lot to be like, it's all right. To tell me this fact that it's okay. No worries. It's gonna be all right. No matter what, it's gonna be all right.
Hello, print friends, and welcome. This is a bilingual podcast, so if you subscribe to us, you'll be getting episodes in English with me, as well as in Spanish with Reinaldo Gil Zambrano. Together we speak to people around the globe about their practice and passions in the field of print media and multiples. Print friends, voting is now open for the Southern Graphics Council Printmaking Awards, and Hello Print Friends' own Reinaldo Gil Zambrano is up for the Mid-Career Printmaker Award. So if you want to show this podcast and its people a little love, head on over to that link in the show notes for voting between now and October 10th. That means this week is the last week, so don't dawdle. Hello Print Friend is brought to you by Speedball Art Products, who've been a leading innovator and manufacturer of printmaking products for over 50 years. Speedball's speed screens answer the call to have an easy-to-use way to screen print, no matter your experience level. Whether you are printing at home, studio, or the classroom, these ready-to-use mesh screens allow you to create permanent photographic stencils without the need to mix emulsions or coat a screen. All you need is your design and you are ready to print. Pick up the Speed Screens kit for the most affordable way to get all the materials necessary to print your next masterpiece. There's a link in the show notes. This episode is also brought to you by Legion Paper. Legion Paper is a fine art paper company that represents the best papers in the world. They either stock it, source it, or make it. With brands like Stonehenge, Somerset, Coventry, Reeves, Arches, and more, Legion is the best paper resource for every artist's and printmaker's needs. Learn more about the variety of papers Legion stocks at www.legionpaper.com. My guest this week is Anthony Huang, a Taiwanese-American artist with a background in journalism, theater design, and professional ballroom dance. We talk about coming to art making from a prominent acting family, moving from figurative to abstracted art, and how Taoism helped him through a huge loss during the pandemic. Hi, Anthony. How's it going?
Great. Miranda, how are you?
I'm good. It's really nice to see you again, and I'm really glad that I can steal some time away from your evening in Prague to have a talk for the podcast.
Well, it's always good to share some of my time to talk to people and then just to share everything I think. And then thank you so much for inviting me to this amazing podcast. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to talk more. We had a really nice time kind of sharing booths, or not sharing booths, but sharing booths close to each other at Print Austin, earlier this year. Yeah, we were neighbor booths earlier this year, and I got to know you and your work a little bit, and just really interested and excited to have a chunk of time dedicated to learn more. Before we get in, would you please let people know who you are, where you are, and what you do?
So my name is Anthony Huang, and then I am a Taiwanese artist who lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. I just graduated from my second master degree in the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, with printmaking concentration. So now actually I'm in Prague, Czech Republic, for like a weekend journey out of my artist residency in Wrocław, Poland. So yeah. That's basically who I am now and where I am.
Beautiful. And then where did you grow up and what role did art have in that part of your life?
Okay. I grew up there's a lot of places I grown up actually. So I am Taiwanese. I born in Taipei, Taiwan. And then I spent a little bit of time in my childhood there. And then later around 6 years old, I went to Shanghai, China with my father. And then I lived there for a long time, and I had my college there with a BA in journalism. And then after that, I just did some job in theater as a producer. And then I moved to Savannah, Georgia, had my first MFA in illustration at Savannah College of Art and Design. Then after that, I went to UTK to have my second MFA. There's a long a story about my life experience. To be honest, if you want me to introduce a little bit more, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, like I'm always really curious for everyone that I talk to what their early interaction with art is. So, were your parents in anything that was artistic? Did you draw a lot as a child? Did you go to museums? Did you have an older sibling who showed you comic books? That kind of visual culture and the visual landscape of the developmental years, what were those like?
Yes, my mother's family, my grandmother, she was one of the really significant performing artists in Taiwan in her time. Like she was like an actress, and then so like my whole mom's family are really like artistic. My mom loves to paint and draw and then do arty stuff, so I got a little bit influence from her. And then also, just like a lot of artists, actually, I'm a really like a kind of like sensitive kid when I grown up. So I'm trying to find voices, except like beside it, just doing something really not enjoyable, like a really like a make my parents enjoy it. I find a way just probably just doodling more, and that's the starting of my me like making art. I think it's similar as a lot of the other artists. But the thing is that I was starting to think about being an artist when I was around high school time. Actually, I was like I do a lot of the weird poster designs for other like some clubs or something that I joined in my high school. So I started thinking about being an artist, like an artist, visual artist. So I started getting trained a little bit trained where I go to classes to learn how to draw because it was time when I was in China, so I had to learn.
Mm.
I need to take the tests, art tests, before I go to college. But a lot of things happened that I didn't take the test, and then eventually I didn't went to the art school, so I went to like a political science school with a journalism major there. So I because I thought that okay, probably I can learn something about like how to edit videos or something. So
Mm.
it's still really similar as like creation work. And then like when I went there, I find out that it's actually about writing, like about just journalism
Right.
writing. And then so the focusing of that university in journalism program is about law and political journalism. So the first day I went to class, I was like, oh no,
Not what you were
no,
expecting. Yeah.
no. So I was really disappointed. But the thing is that so my whole entire college, I was just doing other things. I was a professional ballroom dancer. So I was dancing for my college for 4 years, so like I just compete competitively. So at that time that I was also a leader for my school's university's theater, oh no, university's dance club, like a ballroom dance club's president. So I need
Hmm.
to do a lot of the poster design or trying to figure out a way to make people come to encourage people to come to my club. That's something that I more like I got used to doing like a more visual things. And then after that, I just feel like, and I had an injury at my junior, and then I just feel like,
Mm.
yes, it was like a not really severe injury, but when I was having my recovery, I was thinking about I want to do something different. I want to do something more. I want to see the world more. Like I'm doing well in my dancing career, but I just still want to do something different. So at that time, a friend of mine is applying for a theater company. So she's, hey, can you go, Anthony? Can you go there with me? I'm afraid. I'm a little bit nervous. I was like, sure. And then just like how the other movie works, like I got in the position and then she
Right.
didn't.
You're the friend who goes for the audition and they're like, you have it, right?
So yeah, and then so I was like, okay, theater is really like a similar, like close to how dance world works, I think. So that I went in, I know nothing, and I started doing like a production, like trying to learn how to do production. And then to be honest, I'm not like a amazing, a really great theater producer because there's so many things I need to learn that I know nothing about theater. So at that time, that I was a little bit frustrated, and one of my colleagues say, hey, Anthony, I know you doodle sometimes. How about you make a poster for me for my next play? And I was like, yeah, of course, let's do it. And then I made it. And then till now, I still feel like that poster I made is really bad, really bad. But the thing is that at that time, I just feel like I went, like at the moment of after I finished making that poster, I saw the real production showed up. I feel the feeling of I went the same feeling that I went back on the stage.
Mm.
I have the power to control the things. Like I am the creator, I am the presenter.
Mm.
So I really missed that moment. I really enjoyed the moment. So the same colleague said, "Hey, Anthony, if you really like to do it, how about you just get a degree in illustration or like a design or whatever?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then so I applied to school and I got into SCAD and then I started doing illustration. And then really thinking about the whole experience of doing this poster, I think probably that colleague want to take my job or something. No, just kidding. But but that's the starting point of I start
Yeah.
really doing visual art, like start doing like design or like art. And in SCAD, I had a really amazing time. I feel like it's just like a fish getting back to the water. Like I really
Mm.
weirdly, just like in the first class, I start just enjoying it, and I work really hard. Like I just go to school from 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. at night. It's really just like that. And then until I thought I'm gonna be an illustrator like for my entire life until I got into a one printmaking class with my professor in SCAD, Curtis Bartone. And then like it's an introduction class like for graduate student to get into the printmaking, and it's also the only class SCAD provide in Savannah campus at least. I had a really good time that in the first class, when I saw like a Curtis start doing things, I was like all the movements, like when you mix the ink, when you roll up the ink, it just really the movement, it feels more physical. Those physical movement feels like a
Right.
performing. And then this kind of feeling until now, I still feel it's a magic. It's really relate to my theater, my dance experience. So I really enjoy this moment. I start doing it, and then I start feeling like I want to do like a printmaking. I want to be a printmaker, but I don't have more class that I can take. I only know like at this semester he introduced from relief to intaglio and to intaglio to intro to lithography, and then
Wow.
so it's a lot in like
A lot for one
yeah,
class. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a 2 months and a half class. So 10 weeks, I got introduced those amount of information, and then I was like, I want to do more. What can I do? And then COVID starts. It's the last
Oh,
semester I took in person. I got really lucky that I took like printmaking as my elective class, and then COVID started. And then like when I was home, I was like, I really want to do printmaking. I was working on my thesis for my illustration like a program, but the thing
mm,
is that I want to do printmaking, and one of my friend that she say, "Hey, if you want to do more printmaking, just apply for a printmaking like a school. 'Cause since it's not easy to find a job now as an illustrator since COVID
right.
started." So I applied and use my like one semester knowledge to trying to do everything I can. And I apply school, and then I got several offers, and then eventually I choose UTK as my where I'm gonna go because
Yeah. And did you end up going back to Shanghai or Taipei, in between, or were you just staying in Savannah and then went right from Savannah to Knoxville?
yeah, I stayed actually,
Okay.
except the
Yeah.
vacations, except the winter vacations. But I just straightly from Knoxville, oh no, from Savannah to Knoxville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, because a lot of people, when lockdown started happening, if they were living somewhere internationally, they like went back to wherever their parents were, something like that. But yeah, you stayed through and braved it out in the South. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I enjoy the climate in South as a person from the tropical island, and
Yeah.
also I to be alone to be myself a little bit more than stay with my family more.
Right.
Yeah, those feelings of I'm an adult or something that
Mm,
kind of make me feel I can do whatever I want. I can just do my art, keep doing my art from day to night, and then in between just play some games. I don't really need to like care about stuff that much. So
hmm
I'm gonna keep working on things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so where you applied, you chose UT Knoxville, and at
Mhm.
this point you have one semester of printmaking under your cap. And so what was that like to just go from this like exposure that you had at SCAD to being just totally immersed in print through an MFA program?
At first, it was tough, especially as a person who had just finished an MFA degree,
Mm,
just finished
yeah.
the whole thesis, just finished the whole like a writing and whatever, to a new like a starting program, to starting a new program as a first year graduate student. That's really difficult. like the way I think was like a really like at the end of the program, like thinking. And then I remember, and also another thing is that like I've been trained to be a designer, like an
Right.
illustrator. So this thought of being in like a fine art program, it's really different than what I expected. And then I was really nervous actually because I thought that at first I thought that I had a master. People will have some expectation on me. And then
Mm.
second is that my college degree is not like relates to art at all. I don't know anything about fine art. So I'm really worried. And I remember my first critique. It's a really interesting like a story, like a experience. Is that it was like weirdly like a rapid like a critique, just like when you got into the program, like at the first like the seminar, and then just start with a critique with the work you made before, like
Yeah.
with all like different all the grads from different disciplines and also like different years. And then I remember a lot of my cohorts are using really fancy artsy word, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, what are those? I don't understand anything about that because everything I learned about illustration are really like a visually appealing, and if it's the storytelling or conceptually can tell a story, and then if it's working like that. And then but about a fine art program, it's so different. And then at first I was like really could not get it like used to it, to be honest. Like it was like a really hard first month. I was really panicked
Yeah.
every day, like a because also my work was really representational, like a really cultural influenced work. I got asked a lot of questions about why, and at that time I couldn't have an answer, to be honest.
Mm.
Amazing answer, or answer with like a really thoughtful conceptual way. So I started doing a lot of different stuff. I tried a lot of these different things in my entire 3 years. I started doing a lot of abstract work, and I started doing a lot of different kind of installation work, from like printing on fabric and have a whole gallery of fabric work with projections. Or I start eventually at the end, I remember I start making furnitures. I start like
Hmm.
making little tables, like with prints on top. It was really different than what I understand about how art works before. And then, but the thing is that all of my colleagues, like our cohorts, and then my professors, really encouraged me to dive into what I can try. At first, I fought a little bit, like just the first month. But I start to think about if I want to just do something like I used to be, why going to another program? It's a waste of my time. I can just go to a print shop and start making work, since I know what to do some part. And then I start telling myself that if you're here, just try different things as much as you can. Probably there's different possibilities. And then it does. It does help me a lot with my thesis, like about how the thesis can be and how my thoughts can be like. And then also help me a lot of mm, how where I'm gonna go in the future about making art.
I was curious about making that shift from a illustration and design program to a fine art program
Mhm.
because I'm wondering if in your first master's degree, are you being asked to express something personal? Like fine art, we think so much about it's this individual voice, it's this individual story from this artist that is revealing something about their point of view or their life or their culture. And I'm guessing that's not so much the narrative in a design and illustration program, but let me know if I'm wrong.
I think personal background does help, like, or does change your perspective or how you think about things, no matter which like a way of you working. But the thing is that you are working for a client. You need to think more about your client instead of your own voice. So when I got into UK, no UK, UTK, I was thinking about. I was telling is that so when I was an illustrator, my goal is I serve for the client. I work for client. But now I am my own client. So it's something that I think a lot during this 3 year is just the thought changing, like you said, is really
Mm-hmm.
different. And then now there's something funny is that so I shift my thoughts to like from how about to back to how who I am, who I really am as an artist, or
Oh,
like
uh-huh.
why I make those work as why I make those prints and why I don't do those installations. And then I remember couple months ago, like I was talking to my friend, like she's an illustrator, and then she was applying for a job as a professor in illustration. So I was helping her to just do some job application, like an interview practice, and then she was explaining to me about her thoughts about doing a like a workshop or something about illustration, like about a workshop in the interview. I was like, okay, and then she's talking about, okay, I'm gonna do some concept art things, and like concept illustration stuff, and then start talking about like a how to explain concept illustration, da, da, da. And then in my brain, I was like, what is wait, what is concept illustration? What is concept? I forgot about the whole part of illustration thing I learned before because I just worked so much on thinking about the conceptual way of thinking about my own work in fine art. The way it changed so much about how I think. That's something really
Yeah.
interesting through my whole 3 years experience.
Looking at your website or your collection of work, you can really see that you do shift from this really beautiful, really finely rendered figurative art all the way through to what you're doing now and what was your MFA thesis show, which is abstracted. Some of it's quite large. You mentioned installation work as well. But before we talk about that, I want to ask you about you have one series that looks like it has tiny UFOs in it. And it's like a funny
Mhm.
standout, I think. You see these like these beautiful fish. You've got this great piece with like a monkey in it and a lot of flora and fauna. And then you see what you've been working on most recently, and there's this little blip into UFOs. And I wonder if you could tell me about that because they're really charming, but they
Yeah,
definitely stand out in your body of work.
a lot of my work actually has this kind of this is a work that actually looks really funny or interesting compared with my other work, but it's like a grieving work for my best friend. He's my best friend that from my childhood, and then he passed away during COVID
Mm.
time from his cancer, and at the time I couldn't be there with him, and all of a sudden he just passed away. I didn't know that at all until a month later. I couldn't find him at all. I couldn't text. He didn't text me back at all. His father just like text me like, oh, he passed. And
Mm.
then I started like at first I didn't feel anything. I just okay, he passed. It doesn't feel real because it just feels
Yeah.
okay. I'm busy like on internet, like I'm in my real life. I couldn't reply you at all. And then so at a one moment, probably 2 months later, I was driving to campus, and then I was like a sunset. I remember. I look at the sunset, and then all of a sudden, like I was driving, and all of a sudden I start tearing, and I was like, I have to
Mm.
do something. I really need to do something. And then so we used to call him ET as the alien. And then so
Hmm.
we used to call him ET. And I was like, I'm gonna just make him a series of work about him. And then so those are I think it's 7 pieces of work. And then it indicates to 7 stage of grieving. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
also, yeah, and also from the start, I remember that piece says a lot of the UFO being trapped a lot by the strings. It's indicating of sickness. And then at the end, he flied away. That's like he rest in peace. It's like for me, it's a
Mm.
grieving. For him, I wish he rest in peace. So to be honest, it looks pretty funny actually out of my all of my artwork, but it's like a way for me to not talking really loudly about my sadness and my tightness in my heart, like just using a really soft and generous way to express myself. It also relates to a lot of my other work is that I hide a lot of my expressions in a really elegant way by making those marks. But also like in my thesis show, like in a lot of work, I secretly hide some of the UFOs in the work, like
Oh,
among the birds. So
really?
I just sometimes I just put a little UFO as like my memory to him. So I'm glad that you find that piece, like, cause it's really just like a hidden in some part of my other pieces. So yeah, thank you for
Oh, I'm
asking.
gonna, yeah, thank you for sharing that story. And I'm so
Yeah.
sorry about you losing your friend. And that sounds like it, yeah, that's always extremely hard, but like particularly in that way. And during that time where I feel like life was so complicated with such deep grief for so many different things and so many people. And yeah, but I'm glad that you made that series for him because it's a really sweet series for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, after that series, I start thinking about why my work is being like that and why I can do those work. Start thinking about the deeper part of my work is like the elegancy of the work is the really the main part of the work, or actually there's more background story about myself and then how I feel about things, and then I start to be more and more, and I start to explore more about different theories or philosophies, and then dive in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And so is that when you started to explore more Taoism in
Yes,
as it like
actually.
personally and as it relates to your work?
Yes, I think because as a Chinese, ethically, I'm thinking I'm a Chinese. As a Chinese, that I got into touch with a lot of Taoism story, like stuff in my entire life. I learned a lot of
Mm.
things, but I never thought about it. It just okay. You need to learn that as like a saying or something where you've grown up in class in Chinese like class. You need to learn that, and I never thought about it until then. Like I remember it was the time that I was having a Chinese art history class, I think, in UT, and then there was a whole period around 60s and 70s or something, and then a lot of artists start like because it's modern art time, so a lot of like artists start thinking about this like modern art things, and a lot of Chinese artists start working on the Tao, like using Taoism as a way to think about themselves and how they make work and how they think about universe, because it's also the time like later on it's also the time like start like a globalization, and then I was thinking about, wow, those work are so fascinating. It's just so like related to myself and my background. And I was like, I start reading Taoism book, and then I start like noticing there's a saying like in Taoism is like the Wu Wei principle, and then that thing really helped me a lot about like how I talk about my work and how to come to my own heart. So Wu Wei is actually a saying that actually it means like a non-action or effortless action. I prefer to say in English, and then it means that let's use an easier way to explain it. If you met something you don't understand or you feel like you don't like it, instead of you fighting it, instead of you just like really passive aggressive like facing it, like you go with it, you try to understand it, and then you find a way to work with the whole situation, and then eventually you will go through with it. That's something that I find out that for me, I'm a person that I really like to control things. I think from my early work, you can see how it look like. I really like to do really everything being planned well, and it really hurts because the world is not your world. The world
No.
is this whole world. Yeah, we're dealing with a bunch of people, a bunch of information. You cannot control everything. So just like my friend's death, I couldn't control it.
Yeah.
And then I cannot just keep being sad, or I cannot just keep being like, I don't want to do anything. Or like when you're having some problem, you're just like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, it's not going to be fun. Like your life is just this amount of time. Why you make yourself be like that? So this Taoism philosophy really helped me a lot to be like, it's all right. To tell me a story, to tell me this fact that it's okay. No worries. It's gonna be all right. No matter what, it's gonna be all right. So
Mm.
I start thinking about it, and then it's also like the way I interact with other people sometimes. I like to help people a lot, like in not only printmaking or other things. I like to work with people. I like to just help. And then so at this time that I personally, I think I'm a really generous person. That I think I just want to help people. I just want to give people a comfort place. That's how I've been taught, and how I wish myself like being treated. So I treat people just like I like to help people. And then so that's also something that I in my art that I started doing installation is because the providing. I want to provide people a space to enter, to have this experience of softness, or a moment that you escape. I don't like to use the word escape, but it's like to enter this world, and like a word I provide to enjoy the moment or to experience the moment, so that you probably will have 1 or 2 seconds to forget about what you're dealing with in your life, and then you will redirection your where you are. I hope that's my hope, and I just also want to tell people sometimes, again, it's okay. Then that's something I learned from Taoism.
That's really beautiful. It's interesting because I'm listening to you talk about that philosophy, the Wu Wei, and how it relates to your work. And let me know if this is too much of a stretch, but I was thinking about how a lot of touche, like lithographic touche, shows up in your work, and how there's such an element of letting go of control with touche, right? So it almost seems like it's weaved into the process a bit because you can control it to a certain extent, but the way it dries is going to be up to the materials. And I don't know if there's a through line there at all between kind of the letting go and the actual production of the work.
Yes, it's actually a mimicking of this like a whole process of like a way or like your situation, you're facing situation. It's like my own personal practice, to be honest. It's not really for my audience to experience. It's my own things to experience. Similar is the way that actually not only touche. I also a lot of my etching work are the same thing. That it's like I put a hard ground on the plate on the like a water the plate, and then let the hard ground just move around, and
Right.
then like I etch it like stage by it in different ways. Anyway, about this whole process of losing control or like a and then find back about the work. It's like mimicking of. So first, let's say using the touche. Okay, I spray the water like on the whole like stone, and I start dropping the touche on the stone. It's a way of you are facing the problem. I intentionally mimicking this like a problems like a facing me like a situation. Instead of I fighting for it, I start wiping the stone or whatever. I just let it go. I let it do their own thing. Give it some time. Just breathe and just watch it. Watch the like a touche like a watering everywhere. Then I start enjoying it because I start understand where it might go or where how it's gonna be like. Though I still don't know, to be honest, because it's touche, but it's still like I start can be added like some little like a drops of touche to make it control, or like I start like to adding a little bit, let's say, water to let it push another way. Then
Mhm.
the image starts showing up in my brain. It's a really okay. I think probably this might work in this whole entire situation on the stone. Then I let it dry and I see how it works. And then another thing is that on the image, you can a lot of my work, you can see a lot of birds. That's the
Right.
time for me to add the birds traveling around the world I created. It's like for me to provide a space, this like an entire picture place for my audience to travel through. In Chinese theory, Chinese art theory, it's called 游观, which means travel and observation. Like a lot of Chinese ancient Chinese artists use the same idea is that they create entire space for people to walk in. So it's similar
Hmm.
as how I use bird. Anyway, so let's go back to about this like a create a problem and then to lose control. For me, lose control is really important for myself as a way for me to relax. Try to learn how to relax actually, because I've been really tight myself every day. Just like I
Hmm.
said, I like to control things. I like to plan things like my theater experience. I have to make sure everything goes well. But the thing is that doing this whole practice is a way for me to just loosen myself up, to accept the fact it's okay. Again, let's go back to that part. It's okay. So that's my whole practice recently for starting from last year actually, like to start playing with this. It was my experience when I was in Oaxaca last year in summer that I went to I went there and then did some like a work there and I start playing with touche and I start oh yeah I can do that and then I start feeling like I can start working like that.
Oh, where was it that you were in Oaxaca? Where were you working?
Oh, so I was in like a Oaxaca, like there's a print shop called La Maquina, and then
Okay.
so they work like commercially with like artists. It was like a program. It was not a summer program. It's just summer trip. It was lead by my friend, also another graduate cohort, Gino Castellanos, and then also my professor Koichi Yamamoto. Three of us, we went there in summer last summer, and then we just went there and visited all the
Oh,
graphics in
lovely.
Oaxaca. Then we find out this place called La Maquina, and then if we don't need to pay anything to work there.
Oh,
Yeah, they make the edition for us. We just make work there, and then they make the edition for us. They take half of the edition, is they sell the things. And then we took, as an artist, we took another half of the edition. That's it. And then we don't need to pay anything. It was really surprising for me. But anyway, so at that time we just went there, didn't expecting doing any work or something. We just went there for just want to see all the graphics. And we went there and then they say, okay, if you want to do it, we can grant you a little stone, play with it. And then we can print something. And I was like, you sure? Okay. And I started there like working on thinking about what content that I can do with the stone. And then I saw there has touche they're mixing. I was like, can I play with touche? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I start playing with touche, and then I start like putting some water on top, and then let the touche travel a lot. And then it's a starting point of this kind of like a way of me working.
Gotcha. Oh, that's so cool. I was in Oaxaca for about 10 days a couple weeks ago for the first time, and I didn't even see La Máquina because there are so many print shops, so much wonderful graphic work going on there. And yeah, you can't do it. Even if you're there for 10 days, you can't see it all. So yeah.
I know. It's crazy. It's so fascinating. It's something that I really appreciate that the different places, like how they treat printmaking are so different. How print shop works, how graphic works, everything, how they use printmaking as a medium or as like a concept. It's varied so much by place. It's so fun to see all of these.
Yeah, I definitely like highly recommend that. It's one of the best things about being in the print world is the international travel and exchange and seeing people and seeing how they do things differently. And yeah, it's really nice.
I know. That's like my dream, actually. Besides my future teaching job, I really want to just go to different places and then experience different printmaking places and then interact with people there and make work, talk to people, and then hang out. That's what I really want to do.
That's it. That's the whole reason for my podcast. All I want to do is hang out with printmakers.
I know. It's just like so crazy to think about this idea, and it's so fun to hear all of like your podcasts, like your episodes, because I start understanding different people, and then especially as a person who doesn't speak English as a first language, I start to feel like, okay, I feel like I have more encouragement to talk to other people now.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Yeah. Something else I was curious about, given your background and the work that you do, you talked about being a theater producer. And then it also, at least from my point of view, from what I've seen, like you dived into installation work really successfully from the beginning. Like you were really good from go at creating evocative spaces. And I'm wondering, is there a connection between thinking about theater and the way that theater creates a contained world and creating installation work in a fine art sense?
Wow, it sounds like my thesis defense.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. Actually, yes. At first, I didn't notice that. Actually, it's just some weird instinct. I think it's after SGC, like in Wisconsin, Madison. I saw like a fabric show, like a exhibition, like about plants in the like a main museum, and I saw that. I was like, wait a minute, I can print on fabrics. And then I can print monotypes on fabrics. And then probably I can do some drapings. I can just do a whole space. How about that? And then at the time that I was about to have a show, like a solo exhibition in Gallery 1010. And then I was a little bit nervous about if I can finish it because it's been my entire spring break to SGC. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start making work for that now. What if we take half of the space and make an immersive place? Yeah, and then I start making it. But to be thinking about how theater relates, just like I said, yes, yes, because of like how this kind of directing people in a space and how to find a path or how to find a focal point on things. It's something that I really think about like a weirdly from theater is like when you're sitting under first, let's say the framed theater, when you see it from out of from the seats, how you see it on the stage, it's just you're just seeing picture frames. But as a theater worker, I can walk on the stage and then just go seeing everything. I feel really entertained. I feel like it's like I'm entering another world, just like how theater works. And then it's giving me the idea of I want people to interact with things. not only just like a sitting in like a looking at the prints and then that's it. I want them to walk around. I want them to hear stuff. I want them to see some moving things. And that's the starting point of I doing this. And then later on, I start thinking about, is the theatrical quality too much? It took all the power of my other thoughts because I start just entertaining people. It's just like a lot of other like entertainment, like a installation or immersive shows. And nowadays people went. And I start thinking about it. I just feel like it start getting me not that enjoyable moment now. I just feel like I'm overly every time I just doing the same thing. I print a bunch of fabric, like a 50 feet of fabric, and I cut them and hang them on the ceiling and I drape them, just like creating those like a mountainous like work. What's next? Why? Like it's starting getting the same thing. And I start asking myself why. Then it's the starting point of probably I need to have a rest about that part and then thinking about doing other installation work. And then because of like it's fun to do those, but the thing is, it just again why? And then later on, I start thinking about myself is that I like to provide a certain comfortness for people. So having this part as a me to react to this world is that myself is reacting like to providing things to people, but also the whole process of making work is myself trying to comfort myself or trying to talk to myself during the process of making work. So this is really separately different. Like it's a separate process, like a like kind of weaving together eventually. Like it's about me talking to myself, my audience talking to me, and I'm trying to talk to my audience secretly. Sorry, I keep talking about audience. I've been correct several times. No, you should say viewers, but for me as a theater person, audience.
Such an interesting distinction that between viewer and audience, right? And man, I feel like that's like a whole thesis right there to deconstruct why you would have people in the fine art world not wanting you to use the word audience, because it's like that there might be some kind of implication of being entertained. And
Yes.
we don't entertain in fine art. This is very serious. There's that like allergy that I feel like very serious fine art people have for that idea that what they do is entertainment. Whereas, of course, have you seen a Kusama exhibition opening? Like, you don't think they're there to be entertained?
I understand why it's being like this. Like it's the historical part of art. But the thing is that still, I feel like, personally, I still feel like you need to rest sometimes. Again, you have some break of the things you are dealing with nowadays. So that's something that I've been not fighting, but I'm trying to let people know is please think about yourself sometimes. About it's also the way I trying to convince myself is instead of keep thinking about how the other people thinks or like how the other people likes, think about like how you make yourself comfortable. Like don't only think about the bad part, which I used to do a lot. Still, I'm trying to practice to be better. But the thing is that I'm trying to let yourself to have a way to make yourself feel better. It's something I want. I wish people can feel more nowadays, especially nowadays. A lot of people got really stressed about things they cannot. I've seen a lot of different, like some of my cohorts, they got really stressed about their thesis and they start acting really weird. I guess I shouldn't say that in the podcast, but no, I'm not pointing anyone. No, I'm just kidding. But it's not only about my
we
course.
can cut it out. We can cut it out. Don't worry.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's just about yourself as a person. Don't forget about the comfortness. Don't forget about that part. We're really fighting for things nowadays. But like, please, when you go home, at the end of the day, just make yourself a drink or put on the music. Sit there. Don't think that much. Just find a moment. So that's something that I want to put in my work is that just that's fine. Again, it's fine. I keep talking about it. But also the way I grown up, I always tell myself if things happens, that's fine. It's not always
yeah.
fun.
I really appreciate that. And it's so easy to just overthink, to get on this train of thought that exists only within your own head. And you can have really high anxiety, high stress reactions to things. And it totally blinds you from the fact that you're saying, oh my gosh, like I live in a house, I have a roof over my head, I have food in my fridge, I have people who love me, and I'm probably going to fall asleep and wake up tomorrow just as healthy as I was today. Like all of that is a miracle, like in and of
Mhm.
itself. But
Yeah.
it's very easy to start saying, well, if this doesn't happen at work, then this is going to happen, and then that's going to happen, and then my life is going to be over. And like all
Mhm.
of that is so easy to do. And we live in a time where we're just constantly being stimulated with images and sounds and text and communications from people, which can be amazing. But I think also, at least for me, leads to that hyperfixation, that hyperdrive brain going, because we're not just going and sitting by a stream at the end of the day or walking into a beautiful art installation at the end of the day. And yeah, I think it's really wonderful that you're interested in cultivating spaces that create that sense of ease and reconnect us to the profound okayness of everyday life that the vast majority of us live in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that I would also think about is find something you like to do. You probably enjoy, but it's not your career that will make yourself feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only need to be about art, to be honest. It's not. It doesn't have to be about art. You don't. If you don't like art, you don't need to go to art gallery. It's okay. Totally fine. It's a world, big world. You can go hiking. You can do other things.
Yeah.
Like
Do
it's
you?
just like yeah.
I was going to say, do you dance at all still? Speaking of finding
Uh,
something that you love?
I stopped dancing because I treat dance as my career. If I'm not on the
Okay.
stage, I don't dance. If I'm not
Mm,
doing competition, but the thing is, I changed away for about dancing. To be honest, I use let's say for at first I said printmaking is a way for me to translate to my dance life. It is like
yeah.
I start doing different things. Like a monotype is a way for me to go back to my dance life. It's just really physically like I start doing big like a monotype, just influenced by Koichi, and then I start doing those big monotype. But the thing is that I start using my hand to feel the plate. Like
Mm,
I start using my hand to moving around the ink. It's similar as like how a dancer you use your feet to feel the floor, and then you can have because you feel the floor, then you can have upper body's movement. Then it's similar as how I react with those plates. I use my hand just like my feet as a dancer, and I start moving around the ink, and then to feel different thickness, the different viscosity of the ink, like how it changed the textures, how it changed the idea of like how this like a whole entire like a image works. Like those things is something I translate from my dancing life to me making work, and it makes me feel amazing. Like I just feel so happy all the time I start making Malta because it's so physical. In one point, actually, Koichi and I start like he encouraged me to start dancing on the plate. Yeah, he gave me a pair of Crocs, and then just like and then it's like I start making mark and put some ink on the Crocs. And then start dancing on the ink. It was fun, really fun. But I was also worried about if I'm gonna slip or something because the ink
yeah.
is slippery.
I
But
was thinking like that viscosity is real. Yeah.
I know. And then it was just really fun to do those. It's really like my changing of just when again went back to a dancer's life is I use my body to do things.
yeah.
So that's the part
Yeah.
of how monotypes works, how grain of stone works, how you
Yep.
like a bevel the plate works, how everything cranking like this whole entire press and then mixing ink. That's the beautiful part of printmaking. It's just so alive. That's just so like there. It's there. It's just so physical, and I like that. That's just a part of my life and about who I am. Sorry, I got a
That's
little bit like
beautiful. No, I was going to say that's so beautiful. And I actually think that's like a wonderful high note to start to wrap things up a bit because I loved your enthusiasm and seeing that connection between dance and print is so beautiful. So, yeah, I guess my final question is just where can people find you, Anthony? Where can they follow you? And surely the exciting things that are going to happen for you on the other side of graduating.
of course. So first, if you want to find me, like on internet. First, you can follow my Instagram, or you can go to my website. They all start with Anthony Huang TN, and then Huang spell HUANG. If you want to find me physically, I'm gonna move to Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
in next 2 months, I think, or a month and a half for my upcoming job. I got a job, a teaching position there as a printmaking
Wonderful.
faculty in one of the college there. So I'm gonna move there, and if you wanna chat with me or meeting me, let me know, DM me or whatever, or introducing me to some different events if you're in Dallas, or if you want to collaborate with me, or if you want to work with me or do some fun work, let me know. I'd like to do everything.
Beautiful. That's so cool. Thank you again. It's been really lovely to get to know you better and hear more of your super interesting story. And I'm just so excited to see what comes next and to stay in touch.
Thank you so much, Miranda. It was really lovely to meet you, like again in Prince Austin, and then thank you for inviting me, and then I got enjoyed your whole like entire episodes, and then it's amazing. Thank you for providing us this place.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
And that's our show for this week. Join me again in 2 weeks' time when my guest will be Daniel Chiaccio. We talk about starting First Proof, a community access printmaking studio in Brattleboro, Vermont. How a stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis changed his life and his artistic journey, and making complex images of home. If you like today's episode, we have a Patreon, where you can help support our podcast and get bonus content, like Shop Talk Shorts with past guests. But the very best thing you can do to support this podcast is listen, rate, follow, and share with your fellow print friends around the world. This episode, like all episodes, was written and produced by me, Miranda Metcalf, with editing by Timothy Pauschak and music by Joshua Weber. I'll see you in 2 weeks.